If you repeat positive affirmations every morning but take no disciplined action to back them up, you aren't manifesting success. You are practicing delusion. Millions of people spend years trapped in a holding pattern, waiting for a magic moment to finally force a change in their behavior. They coast along, hoping an external event will eventually jolt them awake, completely stalling their potential. You can see the reality of this stalled state in the painful moments of daily life. It's the sickening feeling of standing in a grocery aisle, agonizing over a 2-cent difference between 2 cans of beans, knowing you have to buy the cheaper one. Or it's waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, staring at the ceiling, completely paralyzed by an inner civil war over what choice to make. Escaping that cycle doesn't require a decade of slow, gradual adjustments. The shift can happen in a single day, the exact day you finally force yourself into an intense emotional reckoning. We can map out the 4 internal emotions required to spark permanent change. As this diagram shows, the foundation of this process is disgust. This is the breaking point where a person forcefully declares, "I have had it," and completely refuses to tolerate their current situation for 1 more minute. The next step upward is decision. This ends the internal waffling. The rule here is simple. If a choice is easy, do it easy. If a choice is hard, do it hard. You just get the task done. Then comes desire. This drive has to pull you upward from within, but you can awaken it by letting life actually touch you, by exposing yourself to new books, challenging conversations, or profound experiences that break down your internal walls. The final trigger is resolve. Think of a baby learning to walk. When it falls, it stands right back up. Resolve is the absolute promise to yourself that you will never, ever give up until you reach the goal. These 4 emotions generate massive psychological energy, but as this chart illustrates, it is only potential energy. Without a specific outlet, that energy ends up hitting a hard barrier we can call the delusion trap. If you do not immediately apply that built-up emotional energy into physical, disciplined action, the momentum evaporates. The feeling of inspiration fades right back into useless delusion. To see how emotional resolve requires heavy discipline, we can look past individual psychology to a macro-historical scale. At the end of World War II, the global death toll reached 39 million lives. For the Jewish people, the devastation included the murder of 6.5 million men, women, and children. When the survivors surveyed this absolute ruin, they faced an incomprehensible loss. Standing amid the destruction, those who survived made a collective affirmation. They looked at the tragedy and stated 2 words, "Never again." But they did not allow that affirmation to remain an empty wish. They immediately backed their words with severe physical discipline. They spent their national treasure building a nation, forging an economy, and building an army. An emotional affirmation only alters the course of history, or the trajectory of a single human life, when it is funded by the relentless discipline of action. When you look at your own circumstances, you have to ask yourself, who is actually going to do the physical work required to change your life? Consider the story of a man who spent 2 solid years transforming a barren pile of rocks into a spectacular garden. A visitor stopped by one day, admired the blooms, and told the man, "You and the good Lord together have made a beautiful garden here." The gardener shook the visitor's hand and replied, "I understand what you mean, but you should have seen this desolate place a couple of years ago when God had it all by himself." Progress is always a 2-way street. The universe provides the raw materials, the soil, the seeds, the seasons, and the time. But you are entirely responsible for the labor. So you have to ask yourself 4 questions. First, why? Why put yourself through the struggle of trying? Why read the books, wake up early, and push for a better outcome? The best answer to that is the second question. Why not? You have a limited number of years on this planet. What else are you planning to do with your time? The third question is, why not you? Other people get to experience the extraordinary. They get to travel and soak up the rich history of London. They get to walk the manicured grounds of royal palaces, or stand in a gallery and gaze directly at the world's finest art. They engage in global commerce, drink coffee in Paris, and stand on Fifth Avenue in New York. Why shouldn't you do the exact same things? Which leads to the final question. Why not now? Stop postponing your future. Grab a notebook today, outline a specific game plan, and start doing the reading. Go to the comments below right now and declare exactly what you are disgusted with. Type, "I've had it," and hit subscribe while you're at it. If you finally allow that disgust to trigger genuine physical action today, the next incredible story we hear won't be from a history book. It will be yours.